Hello everyone, happy Woden Day. May Woden be with you and anyone else you need. Alright, Amazon, flash briefing.
Jamie, here's the latest from your flash briefing. In NPR News.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Corva Coleman. A top opposition party leader in Israel says he has reached an agreement to form a wartime unity government with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Former Israeli Defense Minister Benny Gantz's party says no laws will be passed that are unrelated to the war with Hamas. Meanwhile, Israeli media say at least 1,200 Israelis were killed in the Hamas attacks. Palestinian officials say more than 1,000 Palestinians in Gaza were killed. NPR's Daniel Estrin reports from Tel Aviv.
Israel carried out heavy bombardments on Gaza, with eyewitnesses describing widespread destruction of neighborhoods in Gaza City. All of Gaza's borders are closed, leaving Palestinians with nowhere to escape, and around a tenth of Gaza's population internally displaced seeking shelter.
Yes. Okay.
The Biden administration
No more fighting.
says there
Agreed?
are talks to create a safe corridor for civilians.
Done.
Israel's south has been evacuated of Israeli civilians, and the army says in the past day there were still firefights between 18 Hamas gunmen and Israeli soldiers. Hamas militants fired around 5,000 rockets at Israel since the start of the war, and the Israeli army says it's intensifying its attacks on Gaza and preparing for an unspecified next stage of the war, potentially a ground invasion of Gaza. Daniel Estrin, NPR.
People are in poverty. We need more money. All right, what goods do you got?
Blinken
right?
is heading to Israel later today to show U.S. support. NPR's Michelle Kellerman reports some Americans are among those taken hostage by Hamas militants.
They got
the Biden
resources.
administration says
Have their people work it
has
and give it to you
Israel's
for a
back,
good
and that
price.
will be one message that Secretary of State Blinken will bring to Israelis on this trip. His spokesman says he'll be talking to Israeli officials about what more they need in the fight against Hamas. The U.S. is beefing up its military presence in the region to deter other groups or countries from getting involved. And Blinken has been working the phones, encouraging countries that have influence with Hamas to press the group to release hostages who were captured in Israel on Saturday and taken into Gaza. Michelle Kellerman, NPR News, the State Department.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is visiting NATO to appeal for more military assistance for his country. From Brussels, Terry Schultz reports the Ukrainian leader will address the more than 50 members of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group set up by the U.S. to coordinate aid to Kyiv.
Zelensky says he needs more air defense and artillery. He's asking specifically for long-range missiles, something NATO allies have been reluctant to give due to fears they could be launched into Russian territory. But Zelensky says these weapons are essential.
You need these, especially for the one reason, to push Russia out of our land.
In addition to meeting NATO defense ministers, Zelensky is asking Belgium's prime minister to send F-16 fighter jets and cash from Russian bank accounts frozen in Belgium. For NPR News, I'm Terry Schultz in Brussels.
On Wall Street, the Dow is up 80 points. This is NPR.
Oh, the Ukraine thing.
House Republicans are supposed to select the next speaker today. There are two declared candidates, the number 2 House Republican, Steve Scalise, and the chair of the Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan. It's not clear either has enough support to win. The Republicans want to settle this before it gets to the House floor. They don't want a repeat of last January.
Ukraine. You want to be Russian,
former Speaker Kevin McCarthy needed 15 ballots to win the post. Japan has dropped its bid to host the 2030 Winter Olympics. NPR's Anthony Kuhn reports from Seoul the decision comes following an ongoing corruption scandal related to the 2021 Summer Games in Tokyo.
The mayor of the northern city of Sapporo announced the decision at a press conference. Katsuhiro Akimoto says the city may consider bidding for future games in 2034 or later. Japanese media report public support for hosting the games collapsed as a corruption scandal spread. Several Japanese executives have been convicted of bribing Olympic organizers in order to become Olympic sponsors and sell Olympic-branded merchandise. Other executives have been indicted for allegedly rigging bids to hold test events and competitions. Sapporo held the Winter Games in 1972 and was seen as a strong contender for 2030. The remaining bidders include Sweden, France, Switzerland, and Salt Lake City. Anthony Kuhn, NPR News, Seoul.
There's a winner in this year's Fat Bear Week contest. Her name is 128 Grazer. The event was initially started to celebrate bears in Katmai National Park and Preserve in Alaska. I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News in Washington.
In NASA news, initial studies of the 4.5 billion-year-old asteroid Bennu sample collected in space and brought to Earth by NASA show evidence of water and high carbon content, which together could indicate the building blocks of life on Earth may be found in the rock. NASA made the news Wednesday from its Johnson Space Center in Houston, where leadership, in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, we recognize Hispanic astronauts who have flown in space. The table below lists these individuals of various nationalities who have made significant contributions to their space programs. The first Hispanic astronauts completed short flights to a Soviet space station and aboard the space shuttle in the past 23 years.
No, not really. No.
Sorry, this news channel isn't available right now. Slated to launch on October 12th with the Psyche mission, SOC will demonstrate technologies enabling the agency to transmit higher data rates from deep space. NASA's pioneering Deep Space Optical Communications (DSOC) experiment will be the first demonstration of laser, or optical, communications from as far away as Mars, launching with NASA's Psyche Mission 2. Download the full-resolution version from the Space Telescope Science Institute. Filaments of dust and gas festoon this star-forming region in a new infrared image from MIRI. One of the greatest strengths of NASA's James Webb Space Telescope is its ability to give astronomers detailed views of areas where new stars are being born. The latest in weather. Right now in Seattle, it's 53 degrees Fahrenheit with showers. Today's forecast has rainy weather, with a high of 58 degrees and a low of 48 degrees.
Amazon.
From NASA.
Off. Amazon. Tell us a joke.
What did the sun say to the tree? Why do you always throw shade when I'm around?
Wow. Alright. Don't be throwing shade. Alright. You have a great day.